Welcome back, Time Cruisers. I'm your host, R.R. Slugger, and I bet you didn't expect to be back here again. Today we're taking a look at the LEGO Time Cruisers board game, produced by Rose Art Industries in 1997. It's amazing! Dr. Cyber has discovered time travel. Unfortunately, no one on Earth believes him, except for those of us who know about LEGO Time Cruisers. Your mission is to prove to the world that time travel really exists. Grab your gear and get ready to visit 4 awesome LEGO worlds: Castle, Space, Wild West, and Aquazone. You must collect one artifact from each world and bring them back. Do this, and the whole world will believe in time travel. While there are surely easier ways to prove that time travel exists, this makes for a fun and imaginative objective for our players to compete over. The game's designed for 2 to 4 players, though a 5th one can join using the optional rules we'll go over later. Here's what you get in the box. A single folded page of instructions ensures that there isn't much of a learning curve to get started. The trifold game board features some great artwork showcasing several LEGO sets available from this era. A rather cheap-feeling hypno-disc spinner locks into the game board and will provide some minor impacts on gameplay when we get to it. There are also 36 Vortex cards, each with their own artwork and abilities, as well as a pair of dice. But where would a LEGO board game be without LEGO? This board game includes 5 minifigures, 4 of which represent our playable Time Cruiser characters. It's somewhat strange not to see Timmy or the Doctor represented here, but these folks look cool enough, I suppose, and there's always the option to use your own figures too. By far, the most interesting minifigure included is the Time Twister. This character borrows some familiar design elements from its namesake toy line and appropriately matches the aesthetic. Apparently, the Time Twister was also the first LEGO minifigure to feature this skull head on a regular torso, paving the way for legions of Skullkind to follow. In addition to the minifigures, we also receive 20 artifacts to be scattered around the game board, 5 for each world. The printed UFO helmet and large number of chrome elements are real highlights here, and at one point in time you could send about $350 to Warren Industries' consumer division to get more. So now that we have the basics out of the way, how does the game actually play? Players start in the center of the hypno-disc spinner and must travel outwards to all 4 worlds in order to collect the artifacts they need, 1 from each. The worlds only connect to each other through the center of the board, which sends players directly into the path of the Time Twister. Players move by rolling 2 dice. The white one moves the player, and the black one moves the Time Twister, who patrols the center and can remove one of your hard-earned artifacts, sending it back through time to its place of origin. If you don't have an artifact, then the Time Twister can cause you to lose a turn, a truly unenviable position. On the corners of the board are 4 portals, which can be activated or serve as destination points by using corresponding Vortex cards. This can grant you alternative ways of navigating the board, depending on how lucky you feel. While you'll avoid the Time Twister's wrath by landing on Vortex card spaces, there are other nasty effects that can hinder your progress. Indeed, this does come from what I consider to be the era of lose-a-turn board games. That is, games that are generally unbalanced or just poorly designed overall. All it takes is playing a game from the 90s to fully appreciate how far board game design has come since then. That doesn't stop the LEGO Time Cruisers board game from being fun, though. In fact, its frankly broken design decisions can create some of the best laugh-out-loud moments when playing with a non-competitive group of friends. It's because of this that I'm going to offer up a spoiler warning and timecode to skip to if you are at all interested in picking up a copy of this game. I think it's better to go in fairly blind on this one. It's cheap, plentiful, simple fun, though I don't want to raise expectations too much. Think of board game navigation like in Sorry, mixed with some of the tedium of Clue and the community chest cards of Monopoly. Now, let's dive into why the game is totally busted. Collecting artifacts is the primary objective, and one of the twists here is that you can only collect what your figure can physically carry. That means if your hands are full, too bad. Since you need 4 artifacts in total, conventional wisdom would say that one should seek out an item for each hand, a hat, and a neck piece. This works most of the time, but there are certain combinations that, don't. For example, if you've already acquired the bandana, then you can't pick up this space helmet. Unless you resort to some tomfoolery like this. The rules are fortunately lax in this department, and this leads to some gameplay that revolves around desperate combination choices like this, as several items are simply incompatible with each other. If you want to win, you'll need to plan out an item combination strategy and prioritize grabbing ones that may be contentious. The diver's helmet with 2 back clips is sure to be a popular one, whereas a more limiting item like the UFO helmet essentially locks you into needing the quiver later on. The crown is such a trap. Remember that you need 1 artifact from each world, so the fact that the crown can pair with the quiver is completely worthless if it's incompatible with the other neck pieces. Of course, new players won't realize this until they try to find a 4th item that fits and keep coming up short. This is why it's so important to play with non-competitive people. Of course, there are always ways to win. Even the dreaded crown can be workable with enough ingenuity. Your table will have to make some decisions on what constitutes truly wearing an item, as well as how to handle the optional rules listed in the back. Some of these rules do make the game more competitive, such as allowing players to steal artifacts from one another, or requiring players to return to the center of the hypnodisc once all 4 are collected. There's also a rule that allows a 5th player to join, playing as the Time Twister. While it has an intriguing wrinkle to the gameplay, saying that this player can only collect artifacts by stealing them, the rules immediately contradict this statement in the following sentence. I like the concept, but you can tell this was an afterthought and may require some reworking to be made usable. One final house rule that may be worth considering in your game is to not place the Time Twister on the board until the last player has left the center ring. As stated earlier, if you don't have an artifact and the Time Twister passes through your space, you lose a turn. The more players you have in your game, the more deadly this can become, as the Time Twister moves anytime a player does, potentially locking an unlucky soul into an endless barrage of badness. Overall, I think the LEGO Time Cruisers game is flawed, but fun. It really captures the zany energy of the theme in an authentic way, and I'd recommend seeking it out. The great selection of LEGO accessories included within is an added bonus as well. This one's a win in my book. Thanks for watching, everyone. I've been your host, R.R. Slugger, and time flies when you're having fun.